Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl Ashley, the amateur expert, coming to you live today on this episode of Talk Tuesday. Some housekeeping things I want to get out the way real quick. Last week we announced a giveaway with Rituals, and I want to announce the winner, and it is Given. She is going to be receiving the Rituals hair kit. And I'm excited to give that to her. Shevon is in the room, so we're going to get started. If this is your first time watching, I'm going to, or listening, I'm going to be interviewing Shevon, talking to her about her career path, her idea of success early on compared to now, and the tips and motivators that she used along the way. So happy you guys are here, and she's in the room, so we will get started. Hey everybody, happy Talk Tuesday.
Hey boo!
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
I know. I'm so happy to see you. I'm excited. To be here.
Awesome. So let's get started.
Yep.
Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do currently for work.
Okay. My name is Shevon Jones. I am a social worker. I currently work in suicide prevention. I'm a youth suicide prevention coordinator. So I help youth to coordinate services to prevent suicide in the state of Georgia.
And you also are the founder of?
Yes, I am. I'm also the founder of the Mental Wellness Collective, which is an online community designed to help women prioritize their mental health. So I'm super excited about that. I'm also a podcast host as well. And the podcast is The Tribe of Helpers.
Perfect. And I met you in Aspen because you are also a part of the Fearless family, Arian. So this is great. It's like a full circle moment. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Yes. We did meet in Aspen, and it was amazing.
Yes, ma'am. So when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up, and what was the motivating factor behind that?
Oh, gosh. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
I wanted to be a fashion designer so bad. I would collect all the magazines. So we would go in the store and I would get all of the wedding magazines, and I would come home and I would trace the people and I would draw clothes on them.
Wow.
And so I created this book of just outfits and different things. I know it's so random.
It's interesting. I didn't think that was what you were going to say at all.
I wanted to be a fashion. My dream was to go to FIT, and I wanted to live on Park Avenue in New York. Yes, this is when I was a little girl. I know that better.
Yes. And what was the motivating factor behind that? What made you? What drew you to fashion? What?
I absolutely loved watching runway shows.
Okay.
And I think part of it was I wanted to be a model. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be a runway model.
Okay.
I'm 5 feet. So
I was going to say, I felt like we were.
Yeah, I'm a little short. So it did not work out the way that I wanted to, but I used to get up on Saturday mornings and watch runway shows. For hours, I was watching runway shows. And I just love that whole lifestyle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what kind of just drew me to it. I was such a prissy little girl. And so I loved anything like fashion and glitz and glamour and all of that. So I think that's what really drew me to it.
I love it. And we have some more fearless family in the chat.
Is that Pastor Wanda? Hey.
Pastor Wanda is in the chat, and Brianna as well.
Hey, Brianna.
So what was your idea of success? You said you were fascinated by the lifestyle. What does success look like to you when you were that young?
When I was young, success was just making a whole lot of money. I just wanted to make a whole lot of money. And that was during the time where they had the MTV Cribs, and you could really see people's lifestyle. And I was like, I want to live that lifestyle.
Yes.
Whatever they're doing, I want to do that. And so my idea of success was literally just trying to figure out how can I make a whole lot of money and look cute doing it.
I'm here for it. I think that's still part of no, anyways, this is not about me.
No,
this is about you.
I'm with you, because part of me still has a little bit, but it's changed. But that was when I was younger. That was definitely it. I just want to make a whole lot of money. I want to live this fabulous life, and that's just what I wanted to do.
Of course. Okay, so take us on the transition because I know that you just told us that you are not doing anything fashion related
At all.
currently.
At all.
What sort of made you make the pivot? Like, just sort of
Yeah.
give us that little journey or long journey.
Yeah. So honestly, I say that I got into social work accidentally. Like it was not on purpose. I went to undergrad, and I changed. I was one of those people who changed their major like a million times. But like, I went to school. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I was going to apply to fashion schools. And my
Okay.
dad, old school, he was like, listen, you need to go do something practical with your life. Like, you need to go
Mm,
somewhere and get a practical degree. And you're not going to be a fashion designer. There's no money in that. And
got it.
so, me just being the good child that I was like, well, you know what? He knows. Like, he knows. So let me just go and do something practical.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to go to school and first, I wanted to be a doctor. And
Okay.
then I was like, I don't like blood. I
Mm,
can't, like, at that time, I wasn't really even processing all the different types of doctors. I was just like, I don't like blood. I really don't want to go through like this residency and all of that. So that just wasn't what I was going to do. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can be a lawyer because I
there
have
you go.
always loved to, and part of me still loves law, but I was like, I can argue someone down. I liked being in the courtroom. So I went to college and I was like, pre-law, that's me.
I got it.
Took a philosophy class and I was like, pre-law, not me. So changed my major and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a teacher. So I went up and I signed up to take these teaching classes. Well, I was confused how I was trying to be teach elementary math, but it was not elementary math. It was hard. So I was like, you know what? That's not for me. I think I
Mhm.
failed it. This was probably like the first class in college that I failed. And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
not doing that. So changed my
Oh, my
major
goodness.
again. And my advisor, he called me in and he was like, listen, if you want to graduate, you need to pick a major and
Mm,
stick with it. Like, you really need to figure out what you want to do with your life because you cannot keep coming in here every semester changing your major.
yeah, it will set you
And
back.
yeah, and so I remember talking to one of my friends, and she was like, "Girl, go major in human services. It's an easy degree, and when you get out, then you can figure out what you want to do with your life." I was like, "Bet." So
Sound advice.
went
Get
to
out.
went to my advisor, and I was like, "Sign me up for human services." But I got into it. My professors were all social workers because at that time, Kennesaw State didn't have a social work program. They
Okay.
had human services, but all their classes were social work geared. And I loved it. I loved the classes. It was such a fit and it just came so easy. And it
Mm,
was so natural. I started doing the internships. I started talking to the professors and I was like, I can see myself
I like
doing
this.
this. I
Yeah.
love this. And so I signed up for human services, got my degree, and then I was like, I'm going to grad school and got my master's in social work, and I've been rocking with it ever since.
I
So I
love
always say
it.
I fell into it because it was not my plan to to do
Right.
it.
That's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
So what is your idea of success now?
Oh man, my idea of success now is really making an impact, and really helping and touching as many lives as I can. I want to help so many people who are broken and who are trying to find their way but aren't really sure how to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so my version of success is really helping the people who are broken, as many people as I can, and having the largest impact on this world that I can.
I love it. And so, as you said, during your college career, you've made a lot of shifts and pivots. So, what were some of the tips and motivators that you used along your path?
I would say that my daughter, I had my daughter when it was my sophomore year.
Okay.
And so that was like the top motivating thing. Like, you cannot mess up. You need to get in and do whatever it is you need to do and get out.
For
And
sure.
so before her, I was playing. Like, I was partying all the time. I was kind of going to class, not going to class.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I had my daughter, like literally from the moment I had her, I was like, oh, it's game time.
Got it.
You have to figure it out and do it, like, so much to the point to where I had just given birth and we had a final due. And I was in the hospital bed with my laptop, like finishing
Wow.
my final paper. And my professor was like, girl,
I mean, you probably
Like,
could have had a day or two.
she was like, "Girl, can you please put your laptop away? Like,
Aww.
when you get home and you're settled, then you can do it." So she definitely is a motivating factor to me. But also another motivating factor was I wanted to see myself succeed. Like, I wanted to see once I committed myself to something and really seeing it through. And that's really what keeps me going. Just finding something that I know that I can tackle. It's not attached to anybody else. It's not it's all me, and really just dedicating time to it and perfecting that. I love to see how much further I can go and seeing the different things I can accomplish. I think sometimes we take for granted like the process. We want to go from, A to Z like that.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say that I don't a lot of times, but I enjoy the process of sometimes sitting back and saying, man, you've really come a long way. Like, look where you started and look where you are now. Look at all the things that you've been able to accomplish. To me, that's a motivating factor. And then three, actually, being grateful. I find myself really latching on, especially now, to gratitude and just being grateful for every opportunity, anybody who finds me, who finds anything that I say that's inspirational or my journey, being able to just be grateful for the things that I have and the journey that I've been on, because it hasn't always been straight, and it has, I've kind of gone on a lot of twists and turns, but I'm appreciative of that.
Someone in the chat actually said that they are an inspiring social worker and that you were an inspiration to them.
Come on, we need more social workers.
Absolutely. And so what is something that you have learned, or you're still in the process of learning, that you wish you had learned sooner in your career?
To have patience with myself. Like I just mentioned, I wanted things to happen quickly. And I don't think that, even now, sometimes I'm not as patient with myself. I want things to move, and I have to learn to enjoy the process, enjoy what you're going through. And because every little piece of it is teaching you something, and every little piece of it adds to the next step. And also, if I can add another piece of that is, your journey is not about you. Like, you are there for the next person. Matter of fact, I just posted, and I was saying how in the last 2 or 3 months, I've written like 4 federal grants for funding. And although it's been exhausting and I've been tired and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It has really, I had to step back, and I was like, you know what? But you show up to this room and have a seat at this table that other people aren't able to have a voice or an opinion, and you bring that to this table. And I'm able to fight for, communities and people, especially people of color, who aren't at these tables. And I can have a voice in saying, no, we need to get more funding to help, African American boys whose suicide rates are climbing. We need funding for that. And because I'm given this opportunity and I'm at this table, I'm able to make that happen. And so just being appreciative of all the opportunities, of all the tables that I'm at, that opens up doors for so many other people.
That's so good. Yeah, I think a lot of times, I'll speak for myself, I get into my own head about things, and I'm like, okay, I truly believe that God has given this to me to do. And I'm like, does it matter if I do it? And then to your point, it does matter, because it's going to have impact on someone else. And so that's a really good point and confirmation. So thank you. So I know that you actually hosted the mindful
the mindfulness
session at the retreat. And so I'm wondering if you can just give us some tips, especially during COVID-19, and we're in the house and just going through a lot of different stressful things. I'm wondering if you can sort of give us some tips on how to practice mindfulness during this time.
Yeah, so mindfulness is really the practice of being present and grounding yourself in the present. And with so much going on, we get caught up in chaos and things that we can't change, things that we have no control over. So mindfulness brings you back to your center and helps you to focus on what's happening right now. What do I have control over? It focuses on your breathing. And so a lot of times a practice of mindfulness is breathing. And although it seems like, okay, yeah, breathing, people don't like to do it, you know, it's part of like, that's that yoga and meditation stuff. But think about it, you know, when you're in a stressful situation and so many things are happening, finding a focal point is your breath. Yep. Bringing yourself back to your breath and calming yourself down. I promise you that does help. Another mindfulness technique that I love is gratitude, because mindfulness gratitude focuses on things that you're grateful for, because you can't have anxious thoughts and grateful thoughts at the same time. They cancel each other out. And so you have to, you know, train yourself to think of 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for. Anytime that you're feeling anxious, start thinking of things that you're grateful for, because it automatically changes the whole trajectory of your brain, your thought process of what's going on. That helps to shift you. Another thing is, which I love to do, is mindful distractions. So when you're feeling anxious in a situation, find something to distract you. So I think at the retreat, I gave the example of, if you're in the car and you're feeling anxious or a panic attack is coming on, try to find all the red cars, or, you know, all the blue signs, whatever it may be. Focus on that. And when you distract it's like you're confusing your brain, because you can't focus on that piece of it, of you being anxious and, you know, your thoughts being kind of out of sorts. You're focusing and you're distracting yourself, trying to figure out what's happening right now. It all is bringing you back to the present moment and really focusing on what's happening here and now, grounding you in your reality. Another thing I love about, one thing that I practice with mindfulness is mantras. And it's reminding yourself that, finding something, a mantra that you can repeat over and over again. And so I like to say, when I'm anxious, or, you know, I'm feeling a little confused and things are all over the place, I'm okay. I'm safe in this moment. Nothing is happening to me. And I literally repeat it over and over and over again until I'm able to like calm down, because honestly, your anxiety and your fear is something that may happen. It might happen, or it might not happen.
Right. Yep.
And so you're trying to remind yourself that in this moment, maybe something tomorrow may happen, or something next week. But in this moment, right now, I'm okay. Nothing is happening to me, and I'm safe. And really saying that over and over again, because right now with COVID-19 and all the chaos that's happening around us, because there's chaos happening around us, doesn't mean that we have to have chaotic behavior. We have to be in a state of chaos. So we have to control that. And mindfulness is a great practice to do that.
I'm so thankful that you shared those tips with us, and I definitely will be incorporating that into my daily practice as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I want to give you a platform to share a little bit more about your podcast and your mindful, hold on, let me think of it. The
Mental Wellness Collective.
Yes, sorry. I'm trying to like absorb all the things that you're saying. So yes, I want you to share some more about that. How can we find you? What are some things you talk about? Who is your target market? Like, let's help all the people that we can.
Absolutely. So the Mental Wellness Collective, you can find me on Instagram at the Mental Wellness Collective. And like I said, it's an online community designed for women to help women prioritize their mental health, specifically women of color. I think a lot of times we're so used to being the strong one, so used to, you know, pushing through and keeping going and, you know, taking care of everyone else, that a lot of times we don't learn to take care of ourselves. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you know, to take care of your mental health doesn't mean you have a mental illness. You can have, you know, mental health, you can be in distress. And I think a lot of times people don't understand what that looks like. And so just because I am having anxious thoughts doesn't mean that I have anxiety. You know, just because I'm dealing with in a depressive state, or I'm in a depressive moment, doesn't mean I'm dealing with depression. Sometimes we just have periods of times, and we have to figure out how to kind of push through those things and how to keep going. And so the Mental Wellness Collective is designed to give you coping tips. You know, how do I cope with life stressors? You know, what what do I need to do if I'm feeling depressed?
Right.
How do I connect with a therapist? Things like that, just practical things that the everyday woman, as you're going in your day to day, may be thinking about, and just haven't found an outside resource. And on the other end of that, if you are dealing with depression and you're diagnosed with depression, anxiety, I provide, tips and strategies that anyone can use who may be dealing with that. But I try to keep it so broad that anybody can use that. We all need, tips to help us to cope, especially now during COVID-19.
For sure.
Some of those coping skills we had before just are not strong enough to deal with this pandemic and this quarantine. So we have to find different things. So lately I've been sharing just information about the quarantine, what can I do, when I'm feeling anxious during this time, how to connect with other people. People sometimes don't know how to go about finding a therapist.
Right.
And so sharing resources with that. But also, what do I do when I go to therapy? People think like it's this big, like I'm going to somebody and they're going to fix me. And that's not what therapy is. Where a therapist is not there. I've had so many people from time to time I see clients and they're like, so how are you going to fix me? And I'm like, sis, I do not have a magic wand. I cannot fix you. But people tend to think that. They think their therapist is there to fix.
People is me.
I mean, but a lot of people feel that way. Like, okay, when I go sit on your couch, can you just tell me what I need to do to get better? And the thing about it is, it's not a one-stop shop. It's everything. Some things work for one person that may not work for the next person, and you have to really be conscious of that.
Yeah.
And so, they're a part of the Mental Wellness Collective. I have a blog, and it's at www.mentalwellnesscollective.com. And there's blog articles about therapy, about mindfulness, how to control your anxiety. What are things that you need to do to kind of interact and really help with your mental health? So there's a lot of different things that I do over there. Sometimes we just share funny memes. Sometimes you just need to laugh, and you need to know that you're not by yourself.
For sure.
So I definitely encourage you and welcome you to come over there. Let's see, the podcast. So I have a podcast called The Tribe of Helpers, and it's really designed to bring on mental health professionals, experts, and leaders and share their expertise in this mental health space. It's designed to bring healing through transparent conversations. And so we just wrapped up our 5-week series, which I call Quarantine and Heal. Because so much during this time we hear about people having to be super productive. I got to accomplish these tasks and I got to do this. And nobody really talks about, your mental health. People are dealing with a lot during this time. Like they're just not sure what to do. People are losing their jobs. Depression rates are going up. Anxiety is going up. Suicide numbers are going up. And I wanted to create this safe space to address that, because we are dealing with uncertain times. Yeah. And when you're dealing with uncertain times, people think you have to act a certain way. But if we're honest, none of us know what we're doing right now. Like, none of this is normal. None of this is normal. It's all crazy. And we're really just trying to figure it out. But I think that people are trying to function normally in an abnormal situation.
Yes.
And so the series is designed to bring people together and talk about, how do I handle my faith and fear at the same time? Because although I have a lot of faith, anxiety is still there. Yeah. So how do we counteract our anxiety and our fear? How do we protect our mental health? One of my favorite ones was Love Under Lockdown. And how do I deal with, my spouse or partner, us and all this togetherness that we're having during this pandemic. Right. So we had some amazing guests. Arian was one of my guests, and we talked about pivoting your mindset. Because at the end of the day, it's all about, shifting your mindset and really figuring out a way to grab hold of some of those, gratitude strategies, being okay with not being okay. Yes. And then shifting. We can have our moment. We can fall apart. I encourage people all the time. You can fall apart, cry if you need to cry. Just don't stay there.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck there. And that's really the difference between when I'm dealing with mental illness and I'm just dealing with I'm having distress right now.
Right.
Is I'm able to pull myself out of it. And when you get stuck in it is when the concern is, excuse me, when it's more of a concern and you're not able to move forward. So the podcast series was so much fun. I learned so much from so many different people, just different perspectives. And you can check out the Tribe of Helpers on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And so we are wrapping up to our last question.
Okay.
And so I am the amateur expert and I claim to know a little bit about a lot. So if you can, even though you have already dropped so many gems, share a random tidbit of information with me, please.
Oh, man.
So
and
what
I should
I
have
would
been
say,
prepared for this.
it's okay. What I will say, something that you said that struck me as very intriguing is that I can have a depressive moment or like be in a depressive state and not be depressed or not have like clinically
Yes.
be or clinically have depression. And I think that puts so much perspective on, or like I can be anxious and not have anxiety. Like, what?
I think that we throw words around a
Yes.
lot. Like we put things, we have to be really intentional with our words. And I don't know about anybody else, but I don't want to we already are dealing with a lot. And so I don't want to put anything extra on myself. And so clinical depression and being diagnosed with anxiety are completely different than you just having a moment. If I am diagnosed with depression, that means whatever I'm dealing with, it impacts my everyday life. I'm not able to interact in my everyday life at a normal capacity. I'm not getting up for work. I'm not taking care of my kids. I'm not getting out of bed. And this is happening literally for like a 2-week period.
Okay.
I'm not able to do anything. I can't function. Like it's impacting my ability to function. And anxiety too, it's impacting my ability to interact with other people in the outside world.
Got it.
However, when you're having a moment, maybe something happened and it's situational, because there's situational depression. You may be dealing with a breakup, and it may be the worst breakup that you've ever dealt with. And I know that maybe it's impacting me because it's, we was in love, or I thought we was in love.
Right.
And now we're not. So it's impacting my everyday, me being able to, but I'm still getting up, right. I'm still going to school. I'm still going to work. I'm still interacting. I may be sad, but I'm still able to interact. People who are clinically depressed or are diagnosed with anxiety have to have something else. Maybe they have to take medication. They have to have something else to help them to move to that next phase. Gotcha. And I think a lot of times we get stuck in it becomes kind of like that buzzword, or I'm just so depressed. Well, girl, what you dealing with? My daughter, I had to tell her one time, she was like, I'm just having so much anxiety right now. Well, okay, well, let's pause for a second.
Uh-oh.
Tell me what this is. Like, what is anxiety?
Right.
And explain it, because it may be that this test that you have to take tomorrow is causing you to be anxious and you're fearful of failing the test, but you're not. You don't have anxiety. You're having an anxious, you're anxious about something. And that's okay. We all have anxious thoughts. We all, sometimes our behavior is a little anxious, but we're not necessarily diagnosed with anything.
That's so good. That reminds me. So my mom is RN, and I would be like, Mom, I can't go to school because I have a this or I have a that. And she'd be like, So I sympathize with your daughter because she has to think through everything that she says.
She does. I'm always like, can we process that? Can we process that a little bit more? Why are you feeling that way?
Oh, no.
I try not to do it, but it happens.
I love it. So you're not off the hook yet.
Okay.
You still have to share a random tidbit of information.
I thought that was it.
No, I just thought that was a good one, but you just gave that for free.
Okay. Let me think about something. Hold on.
Totally random.
I know. I'm trying to think of something that's just random. Hmm. Oh gosh, this
Did
is
you
so
know? Like a
hard.
Snapple fact, or like,
I know. I'm
or what
trying.
about your favorite? Okay, what about a different mantra? Give us a mantra.
Whew, thank you. Because I'm like, random fact. I should have Googled this. Oh man, that's a good question because that's like I don't know. But a mantra. Something I like to tell myself is, I I am powerful. I have all that I need. I am peace and I am calm. I know I gave more than one, but those are some things, and they're affirmations, but they can be mantras too. I tell myself this all the time. I am peace, I am calm. Because in the moment of when storms are going on around you, reminding yourself that, sorry about that, your peace
It's
comes
okay.
from within. You are peace. You create your own calm, and you create your own situations.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show. I
You're
am going
welcome.
to put all of your information where people can find you and all of the wonderful things that you are doing in the show notes. Thank you. This is perfect.
Thank you. I
And I'll
appreciate it.
see
Thank you
you
so much.
on the next retreat.
Yes, we're going to South Africa.
South Africa.
Super. So excited. So excited. Well,
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
you too. Bye.
Bye.